Hello again, and welcome back to another edition of the Fantasy Six Pack NFL Preview Podcast Series. As always, I'm your host, Travis. We got a lot of good content for you today, but before we get to that, as always, I'm joined by my co-host, Noah. How are you doing?
I'm excellent. How are you, Travis?
Good. It's going to be a fun conversation talking about the Colts. Spoiler alert, that's the team today, which I'm sure you already know. But yeah, they went from a team that didn't seem to be, going anywhere fast a couple of years ago with Luck's injuries, and now they're kind of superstars. So it'll be a cool conversation. But before we get into that, plugs. I am at The Real Travioli on Twitter. Noah, hit him.
I am at Noah Spurlock NFL. That's Noah SPURLOCK NFL.
Hopefully you're starting to learn our handles by heart, and when you close your eyes, that's what you see. So go follow us. Go ask us questions on Twitter. Also, be sure to hit up our YouTube channel, Fantasy Six Pack, and you can catch all our back episodes. That's where all our new episodes go. So, like I said, it's the preview series. We're doing all the teams, so you will go find all of our past content there. Please subscribe. Please give us thumbs up. But for today, we are talking about the Colts. And, of course, the best place to jump in with the Colts is their superstar quarterback, their comeback player of the year, one of the MVP favorites, Andrew Luck, put up almost 4,600 yards through the air last year, 39 touchdowns, 15 interceptions, but for a guy who no one knew what his career was going to look like after some of those injuries, put up a superstar year. Noah, is Andrew Luck back to the superstar we all knew and loved when he came out of college?
Yeah, he is. Andrew Luck is a very talented quarterback with strong weapons, a very good offensive line, and very good coaching. So I think he's being drafted pretty high, no doubt about that, but it's justified because I think that with my quarterbacks, I've said this on past episodes, I like consistency, I like safety, and I think that Andrew Luck is one of the safest picks, and he's also a very good quarterback with some pretty high upside.
Yeah, the offensive line thing I think is the most important aspect of all of this because I mean, he missed all of not last year, 2017. But before that, he was running for his life. That offensive line was trash. And I think no one could have expected them to be this good. I know Quentin Nelson came out of college and immediately became an all-pro. So that definitely helps. But it's startling the difference in performance from a bad offensive line to a fantastic one. But I mean, I don't even think the best experts would have predicted this sort of comeback season from Luck.
No.
The guy missed a whole season, so more power to him. But that was great. That's all in the past. Are we expecting almost 40 touchdowns again? We thinking a little regression hits him, or does he put it together a career season and, push Patrick Mahomes for the touchdown record this season? Where are we thinking Luck's going to land?
I don't know if he'll push Patrick Mahomes for the touchdown record, but I think he'll probably fall in maybe like the 5th most to 8th most range is kind of what I'm guessing. Maybe a little bit higher.
Okay, so again, not a terrible place to be in the top 5 or top 10, but Andrew Luck, you really can't go wrong with him. Is he a guy that, you would look to build your team around, or are you looking, are you generally a type who waits on quarterbacks, or are you jumping in the pool early and getting Andrew Luck?
It kind of depends on how the draft's going. I do kind of prefer to wait on a quarterback, but I wouldn't mind taking Andrew Luck in the back of the 4th.
Yeah, and with that team, I feel like he's a fun guy to have on your fantasy team. Like, oh man, the Colts run some good plays and they got some weapons. So Andrew Luck, spoiler alert, and this is pretty obvious, he's pretty good. So you guys should draft him. All right, on to the ground game. They've got some backs of interest. Marlon Mack, almost 200 carries last year, 900 yards, 5 touchdowns, 17 catches, 103 receiving yards, and 1 touchdown through the air. So you're not getting a lot of pass receiving out of him. Nyheim Hines, 85 carries, 314 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. But he did contribute 63 catches for 425 yards. and 2 touchdowns. So he's more the third down back type. If you're in a PPR league, he's going to have more value. But Noah, what do we think of the Colts backfield?
Marlon Mack is a pretty risky pick just because I feel like he kind of came out of nowhere last year in the sense that people weren't drafting him very high. And also with Nyheim Hines waiting in the backfield, I think that Hines is a very talented running back too. And if Mack kind of slips up, Hines might overtake him. But I don't think Mack will slip up because he is very explosive and he runs hard and he runs fast. He had 4.7 yards per carry last year, and he's kind of being drafted as like an early running back too, sort of. And I think I'm okay with that because chances are that he won't be a big time bust, but he could be, and I think it's more likely to see him pushing maybe the RB12 range when we're talking in the end of the year.
One thing in a vote of confidence for Marlon Mack, those stats he put up, he only played in 12 games, it only started in 10. So you get a full 16 out of him or even 15. You're going to see if he kept up that same, production level as last year, I should mention. You're going to see over 1,000 yards, and that's pretty good for an RB2. But, yeah, I kind of have a soft spot for the pass catching running backs. It's sort of been my MO as I've played through my fantasy career. But I don't know. I think Mack really established himself last year, so I'm a little more Marlon Mack crazy than I think you are, Noah.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. I like fast guys. I like guys who put up numbers, and I'm not too worried about Hines, even though I do love the pass catching types. I'm on board with Mack. All right, well, on to the pass catchers now. The Colts do have some fun players there. T.Y. Hilton, obviously the superstar, 76 catches last year, 1,270 yards, 6 touchdowns. Devin Funchess, 44 catches, 549 yards, 4 touchdowns. Feel like he's been on everybody's fantasy team, and no one's ever super happy about it. So maybe this is the year he breaks out. Who knows? And they did bring in Paris Campbell. He was a second-round pick this year. So a team investing that high of a pick probably wants to use him. So rookie wide receiver might be a good selection for you. Noah, what do we think of the pass catchers?
I think that T.Y. Hilton's probably one of the more underrated guys in the league. I think the public opinion of him isn't as high as it should be because he really is one of those elite guys that gets a lot of targets and puts them to good use. He only had 6 touchdowns last year, but he still had a strong fantasy year. So I think chances are he'll pick up a couple more touchdowns and really give you some good value because he's going in the back of the second, but I think he'll probably be maybe a top 5 wide receiver in this upcoming year. And then Funchess, I know we saw with Eric Ebron last year that Ebron came to Indianapolis and fixed the drops, but they're a huge issue for Funchess. He's open all the time, and he just has a really hard time catching passes. So I don't know if I can trust if I can trust the Colts coaching staff to fix that. And then Paris Campbell, I like him because he's really fast, and I think they'll use him a lot in the slot and kind of let T.Y. Hilton head out and kind of run maybe some deeper routes.
Yeah, my old basketball coach used to always tell me, you can't teach fast. It always felt like an insult because I was not that fast. So I think he was just explaining like why I didn't get the ball more. But regardless of my past lights, yeah, Paris Campbell and Hilton are fast dudes. And as I just said, I love fast guys. Hilton, like that guy puts up yards, but he's never been a huge touchdown threat. Like even in his superstar campaign of 2016, only 6 touchdowns, but almost 1,500 yards. So if he ever put together a 10 touchdown season, like, dude would be amazing. But even without it, like you said, he's a pretty good fantasy asset to have on your team. So Hilton, gotta love him. But those touchdowns that Hilton is not catching, last year they went to the aforementioned Eric Ebron, who came over, fixed the drops, as Noah said, 66 catches, 750 yards and 13 touchdowns, which is tied for the second most in all of NFL. I think he was trailing only Antonio Brown. 13 touchdowns from a tight end is awesome. And from a guy who might not have even got drafted last year, that's like he probably single-handedly won some leagues. So Noah, is he going to win some leagues again this year, or is he going back to the Eric Ebron of old?
I think that he won't really fade back into what he was in Detroit, but I can't see him producing 13 touchdowns like he did last year. That is just too many to do in and year out, unless your name's Rob Gronkowski. But Ebron is going kind of in the back of the 6th round, and if you can kind of catch him maybe in the back of the 7th, early 8th, I'd be okay with that. So I don't mind him, but I don't love him.
I think most sane people would not expect 13 touchdowns again from Ebron. So maybe some of that skepticism works to your benefit and has him drop down your draft board a round or two, and you can pick him up then. Because the one thing besides Funchess, like Hilton's not tall. They got small running backs. Somebody has to catch those fade routes, or then Eric Ebron is a tall dude who's built for red zone offense. So I wary to say I'm on board again because I got burned so many times on those in his Detroit years, but 13 touchdowns is hard to argue with.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just a sucker for touchdowns, but I don't think I'll be taking him this year because just that skepticism. But I do love his opportunity, and I think he's post hype breakouts happen all the time. Maybe it just took him a couple of years to get the feel for the rhythm of the NFL or the speed or any of that stuff. So I don't think he'll go back to 2 touchdowns, but I'm not totally on board with Eric Ebron just yet. Anyway, that is the Colts. As always, Noah, one player from the Colts must be on your fantasy team. His name is
Andrew Luck. I just think he's such a safe and strong pick.
Yeah, and after coming back from an injury, or he didn't even play in 2017, he put a lot of those injury questions to bed. And if you're taking Luck, you're really just banking some huge stats. So I cannot argue with your pick there. That's it for the Colts. As always, and as I said at the top, please go find us on Twitter, ask us questions. Go find us on YouTube, subscribe to our channel, give us that thumbs up, and be on the lookout for more pods. As always, I am Travis. He is Noah. Until next time, see ya.
Goodbye.